Well, hello there, YouTube, and welcome to a cloudy 65-degree Wednesday, July the 31st. This is the last day of July. Tomorrow begins August. Man, the year's just flying by. I think I say this all the time, or every year. I mean, next thing you know, it's going to be raining, and, well, you know how it goes. The cycle of the seasons. You can't stop it. You just wish the nice ones would last so much longer. But the winter has its own kind of cool flavor to it as well. Anyway, we're running a little late today because helping a Spyder customer on a trip that they're going to. So I was dealing with them. Kelly's like freaking out. She don't know what's going on. She don't know that I'm talking back and forth to them. So anyway, we're rolling. Welcome to Hump Day. 72, mostly sunny. Close those windows back there. Bees get in here while we're at work.
Yeah.
Mama?
Yes, sir.
We're running late.
Yeah, we are.
Hoping Spyder customers this morning.
I know.
Which is a good thing.
Yes.
They called again too, but I was driving down the road. I don't have any hands free in this old goat.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to Hump Day. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you as the day goes on.
All right.
All right. Love you. See you. Bye.
I love you, baby.
Bye now.
Bye.
So before I blow this thing apart, this is one, I think I talked to you about it last week, that come in, he keeps getting a DESS error, key error, just nonstop. Well, it's got a whole list of codes where it's been kicking them off. It was pretty common back in 14, yeah, it's 2014. 14s definitely were common. I think there's some of the 15s that's probably early production 15s or something. The DESS module is buried down on the firewall down there, so the whole front tub has to come off. Looks like he had it parked in my barn at home. That looks like swallow dung everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. But yeah, new DESS module. That used to be crazy expensive, and the prices, I mean, I was like $300 or $400. Now they're just over $100, but it's been updated 2 or 3 times. But that's been a long time ago, so the one you get is the most current one, probably the one they're still using now. But you know, I'll get her apart and get it in. And then he has 2 extra keys that he's having programmed as well. These things are, it cracks me up, the people that, you know, worry about people stealing their Spyder. You're not going to steal it. They might be able to physically roll off with it, but how far are you going to go with a Spyder before you draw some serious attention? Or you can't steal it. It's like the BMWs. You just can't do it. But in lieu of that, if something goes wrong, like a DESS module, you're not going anywhere either. It needs to, all that stuff needs to talk to each other. It's got a radio thing that's up around the ignition switch that reads the chip off the key. That talks to the DESS module. And like I say, they talk to the ECM, and everybody's talking to each other. And I think even the cluster even has something to do with it too. I don't recall for sure, but pretty complicated. But it's got to be. It makes them, you know, you just can't steal them. Oh, the gentleman with the red 2012 RT, man, I talked to him for over an hour. He was a little rough and standoffish at first, and I explained to him, and he's going, well, why nobody told me this stuff? I go, dude, this is stuff that's just not, I mean, you got to do some searching to find this stuff. Number one, just come ask me. And this is real. He just couldn't believe that thing will consume, you know, the rule of thumb is it's about 500 cc's. About 500 cc's every 1,200 miles. That's about what they're going to do. Anyway, those old twins. And I've seen them burn as much as a quart. And that's still considered acceptable. That's just that old Honda patent. Kawasaki, BRP, a whole bunch of people jumped on that bandwagon to use that. I mean, it consumes, well, it doesn't burn it, it consumes it. It doesn't carbon the exhaust port. It doesn't smoke. It's just it's the craziest thing how it does it. But it makes the motors absolutely live forever. But there's an inconvenience. You gotta check your oil. I think I'll have to look it up, but I think in the manual of those old twins, I think BRP literally wants you checking the oil every gas stop. Something like that. And then people just don't, the rules of, it's got to idle and has to be up to temperature. You need to ride it for 9.3 miles. And we can do a preliminary check. This is a 1330, different world. But on those twins, you can let those run for 2 fan cycles and do a preliminary check. And you need to have a gun and measure the temperature of the tank. I think it's either 122 or 126 degrees. I don't recall. Anyway. And you can do a preliminary check. Then you need to take it for a ride, bring it in here, level ground, let her idle for, I think they say 2 minutes. Actually, it says on the side of the bottle, a minimum of 30 seconds. I say let it idle for 5 minutes. Let everything balance out. And then shut her off and check her within 2 minutes. You don't want it to start draining off. So when I had it here last night, I had it to the full mark. Verified and absolutely perfectly on the full mark. I know how to do this. And it was less than halfway down the stick this morning when we come walking down here. So it does drain back off. And, the worst thing is, and this even happens on the 1330s, is people let them sit for a week or months. And they go, well, I better check the oil before I take it out. Well, you check the oil with it sitting there in your garage cold. It's not even going to touch the dipstick. So one of these takes about a full quart from a cold engine with all the oil sitting in the crankcase, no longer in the tank. It'll take a quart to get it to the full mark. Well, they take off and it blows the oil. It just funnels it out. It comes right up this is the 1330s now. It comes right up the dipstick tube, pummels out, and just makes the biggest mess you've ever seen. Well, I say it's really, really, really not good for the motor to be overfilled with oil, ever. The biggest warning they say when anything about checking oil is, warning, do not overfill. It builds up too much crankcase pressure, lugs the motor. You can blow seals out because it overpressurizes. It's just a bad thing. They'll never overfill them. Be a little under if nothing else. But, have it within the range. But anyway, went through a long conversation with that, and he's pissed off that it's not in the manual and, all this stuff about, these rules. We're talking about the 4,000 RPMs, and he goes, well, sometimes I go along at about 1,500 RPMs, and thinking if they idle at 16, if you go in 15, it will, I'm pretty sure it'll auto downshift if you go that low. But whatever. He goes, well, it doesn't say anything in the manual. I know, these are just things we learned over the years. That clutch pack, just the clutch pack, that's not including all the gaskets for taking everything apart, and the labor. It's $1,000 for that pack. I think it's like $946 or something last time I seen one. Anyway, let me get this thing done. Sitting here jaw jack with y'all again. Man, you wouldn't believe. I think it's drywall. Because look, there's like chunks of it all over. You wouldn't believe the mess it's just made blowing that stuff off. So I think it's drywall. And then his right hand, the lower mount, this goes underneath and bolts through this lower frame piece down here. That's what holds the bottom of the trunk down. Anyway, this thing wasn't in there all the way. It was like a couple of turns in and all dog knotted. So I need to pull that thing out. And I think I've got more of these things. It's a captured nut. Should be able to reach in here and grab it and just give her a yank out the side. Yeah, that nut's been compromised. I think I have a new one of these, because you can't really chase it, because if you do, you wipe out the nylock. But I'll see if the bolt's damaged and the nut's not. But that needs to be fixed before I can put the thing back on. But all that being said, there's the DESS module right there. And you can see it even has a little bit of different look to it even. And yeah, you just gotta pull all that apart and clean it, and then all the programming that you gotta go through, which is no big deal. I've done it before. See, my first rodeo, a lot of parts you gotta take off. There's another pile over here to the right side. But again, I've done this way too many times. Just an old hat. Check his battery. Well, I've got good exposure to it. Make sure his terminals are tight, and the accessories on the outside, which they are, is very good. Oh yeah, look at that, it's nice and tight. Good guy. But I found all kinds of weird loose bolts in different places, just unnecessary for those to be loose. It's almost like somebody kind of hand tightened them in and just got to go back and torque them down. Another thing you gotta watch for too, I noticed somebody just has this, it's zip tied, but it's hanging over the radiator, which at that point's probably a smart thing, but you gotta be careful this doesn't come loose. We had a guy that had his tinder lead come loose, go into his fan, and yeah, that fan motor is not cheap, and it is not inexpensive to replace. 'Cause technically you're supposed to drain the coolant to do it, but I won't even tell you. I've got a way of getting them out of there without draining the coolant, but it takes some little finagling, and well, I'm just not even going to tell you because I don't want you trying it, but it can be done. But that fan, that frame, is what's holding that whole radiator on there. So you got to get it past the coolant hoses. It's tricky. And you know, the curb scoopers, it's because they bolt that thing in the back, and it catches right there. And when they hit something, it crams that thing back, and it snaps that plastic coolant hose. All the stuff goes back, and it snaps it. I've had a few people come in a tow truck because they had no coolant in there. Found a broken hose where the curb scooper. So what you do, if you're going to be crazy enough to put one on, just don't put them bolts in the back. Just don't put it on there. I mean, literally, you're spending that much money for something that's going to force it to hit every little bump you go over. Bang, crash, boom. When the built-in thing will take anything you throw at it. If you get in an accident or something, that's a whole different world, but nothing's worth being in the middle of nowhere and break that coolant pipe. Guess who's going to have that in stock? Nobody. Nobody's going to stock that thing. Plus, you know, flushing and refilling the coolant in one of these things, it's an act to get them things bled. And if you take off and it's not bled, you got a whole new world of hurt. I've even seen burn up motors from that. It's really tricky to bleed these things. All right, let me get the bolt fixed, the DESS post put in, and move on with life here. Got lucky in a couple of things. One, taking the nick off the bolt was nothing. So I go to try to put it in. Of course, it locks up right away. But notice how it's not sitting in there straight? If you look close, you can see where that nut has spun in that plastic. The second it does that, you do that. I have a brand new one. See how it's sitting in there nice and flush? And the bolt screws in there nice and smooth. So it's got a little trigger on it right here, and it has to go that way. You just slide it in until it lines up with the hole, and when it goes back together, it'll be all happy-go-lucky. Quick fix for that. Here's all the bolts related to the front trunk. Those are the 4 that'll run across the top, the 2 at the very bottom, and the 2 that go in the sides. These here. Oh, somebody put the clamp on there backwards. Whoever did this thing last. It actually has a stopper for it, so that when you have the clamp on there correctly, it comes along and the hose clamp hits that stopper. So you can easily put it on. When I found it, it was loose and facing that direction. It wasn't even tight. So it goes on. So it's like that. That's the way you want them. So you can get the thing in there properly. So you want it facing this way. I just set it off to the side. I use some Honda silicone spray. Told you, 1,001 uses. Have yourself some Honda silicone spray. If you don't have a Honda dealer near you, you can order it from Amazon. But I spray the boot and spray this, because when it slides on, there's grooves inside here. See the little grooves? It clicks onto this. Not only does it have a little finger that goes around, but there's one underneath. So it's hard. You can't get your finger in there. It's hard, but you need to feel that thing click on those 3 little grooves with a little finger facing that one piece. Throw a light on here, I'll show you. Look what's inside there. Ooh, looks nice, fresh looking filter too. So that goes directly to the filter. But what this does, it snakes down, and it has an intake grill up front right there. It actually has slats in it so that, rocks and stuff can't fly in there. It's got a shield to it. Works good. But that's why when you gas an RT, they're much quieter than gassing up an F3. Can't get this thing to focus, but it says good, replace or recharge battery. Look at the health. It's about 40%. State of charge is down. So the charge down so low, the health will probably come up with it when I charge it. So when I get done with it, I'll hook it up to the BMW charger over there and give her a good old kick. She's ready to roll. This is what that hose clamp should look like when it's properly on there. See, it's all fit, and there's no bumps where those little ridges are, and it's the same distance all the way around. The tricky thing is to getting it underneath. That's the tricky part. But there you are. And the clamp needs to be facing that way, and it bumps. It's that stopper, and you tighten it down. There you are, happy as you please. There she is. I've got my 3-amp charger charging it, because it's a whole ordeal to get to the battery on this thing. And this is doing it. It's already kicking way up, so I'll leave it on overnight. It's a charger, not a maintainer, so it'll boost it up. It's a 3-amp. It's strong enough you can actually do the update on the Spyders, but now we know you can let them idle. There she is. She's a beauty. You'll be a happy camper. Well, hello there, you two. I ain't even got out of my work clothes yet.
I got too hot. I had to change.
We get Tractor Supply. I got a bunch of pet supplies, and what else we do? I cleaned the windows and stuff on the CRV, and the 20 years of dust off the dash, so it looks a little more pleasing when we're driving down the road. Yes. Checking the oil and all that kind of stuff. Just see how she's doing. She's doing good. Good old Honda boy. But boy, that was a very Spyder Tech Talk day today. Hope I can crunch all that into a video that's not crazy long. But so I guess I'll go in and get my skivvies and start working on that.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. You guys have a wonderful Thursday or Friday.
Heck yeah. All right.
We'll see you in the morning.
We'll see you then. Thanks for watching now. Bye-bye.